Contemporary issues 2.
The study of geography, by its very nature, covers a range of contemporary issues and events. Contemporary geographical issues and events have both a spatial and temporal dimension. This means that they occur in a particular context and time frame. They might, for example, be a local community-based issue such as a development proposal that is a focus of people's attention for just a short period of time, or an environmental issue that affects the whole planet, for example, global climate change, which may be of concern for generations. In several countries, rural-urban migration and the consequent reduction in the rural labor force has been an issue for the decline in agricultural productivity. It is argued that the sectoral approach adopted, derived as it is from Western practice, frequently makes a little allowance for indigenous welfare systems which persists in many societies. The dramatic rise in global food prices poses a threat to global food and nutrition security. One major reform needed in agriculture sector relates to reduction in subsidies and increase in investments. There are some emerging land issues where land alienation has become a serious problem in tribal areas. The use of biotechnology in food production has emerged as the central issue in a trade conflict that has been brewing between the US and the European Union for years. In this lesson, let us explore some of the factors that define risk and vulnerability in agricultural geography in different contexts from the following: marketing issues, crop management issues, research extension and technology issues, patenting in agricultural segment. Few other issues.
Marketing issues. There are several challenges involved in marketing of agricultural produce. There is limited access to the market information. Literacy level among the farmers is low. Multiple channels of distribution that eats away the pockets of both farmers and consumers. The government funding of farmers is still at nascent stage, and most of the small farmers still depend on the local money lenders, who are leeches and charge high rate of interest. There are too many vultures that eat away the benefits that the farmers are supposed to get. Although we say that technology has improved, it has not gone to the rural levels, as it is confined to urban areas alone. There are several loopholes in the present legislation, and there is no organized and regulated marketing system for marketing the agricultural produce. The farmers have to face so many hardships and have to overcome several hurdles to get fair and just price for their sweat. The globalization has brought drastic changes in India across all sectors, and it is more so on agriculture. Farmers and made a deep impact on agricultural marketing. It is basically because of majority of Indians are farmers. It has brought several challenges and threats like uncertainty, turbulence, competitiveness, apart from compelling them to adapt to changes arising out of technologies. There is no doubt that in any marketing there is a motive towards profit involved, and at the same time the marketing is to be based on certain values, principles and philosophies such as offering just and fair prices to the farmers who toil hard to till. Bringing necessary reforms coupled with proper price discovery mechanism through regulated market system will help streamline and strengthen the agricultural marketing. In order to avoid isolation of small-scale farmers from the benefits of agricultural produce, they need to be integrated and informed with the market knowledge like fluctuations, demand and supply concepts, which are the core of economy. Marketing of agriculture can be made effective if it is looked from the collective and integrative efforts from various quarters by addressing to farmers, middlemen, researchers, and administrators. It is high time we brought out significant strategies in agricultural marketing with innovative and creative approaches to bring fruits of labor to the farmers. The awareness on market information in general was found to be relatively poor in case of farmers as compared to the traders, since the accessibility of market information in terms of communication systems is very poor in case of farmers. The awareness on market information pertains to only arrivals and prices in local markets in all the categories of farmers. The other important production and marketing parameters like post-harvest handlings, grading and standardization, etc. were not known to the small and medium farmers, but a few large farmers were aware of them. The illiteracy of farmers, around 75%, might have contributed to the poor awareness on market information by farmers as compared to traders, wherein 82% of the traders were with collegiate education. Thus, due to poor awareness on market information by farmers vis-a-vis traders, the advantages of regulated and orderly market were not realized by the farmers. Crop management issues. Before the cropping commences, the farmer has to make important decisions which profoundly affect the subsequent operational management. Insects, weeds, and plant diseases are serious threats that can devastate crops. Throughout history, farmers have found ways to manage these threats or see their livelihood, and a lot of food destroyed. Each year, farmers face tough management decisions, especially when it comes to the best route to raise a good crop while managing environmental impact and costs. They face this reality from the time the seed goes into the soil through harvest. Insecticides, fungicides, herbicides, and seed treatments are all tools to help manage these challenges and provide healthy choices. Furthermore, all farmers want to protect their land and keep their soil healthy because without good soil, their businesses would be in jeopardy. Precise management of these tools based on science, education, and a commitment to the environment is essential to a healthy farm. A key component to raising good crops is available nutrients in the soil such as nitrogen, phosphorus, lime, calcium, potassium, and close to monitoring of soil health. Water pollution may be the most widespread environmental problem caused by agriculture. Agriculture is a large contributor to non-point pollution of surface water, including sediments, salts, fertilizers, and pesticides. Sediment runoff results in soil erosion, a loss to agricultural production. Replacing 2.5 centimeters of topsoil naturally from bedrock and surface material takes between 200 and 1000 years, a long time in human terms. Aquifers are depleted in places where groundwater use exceeds recharging, leading to land subsidence. In arid areas, irrigation has been associated with mineralization and salinization of soils and water, and it has also depleted rivers. More efficient use and conservation of water can help alleviate these problems. NRC 1989. Following the Second World War, a plethora of problems has resulted from the use of synthetic organic pesticides, fumigants, insecticides, herbicides, and fungicides. Growers saw the success of broad-spectrum synthetic pesticides as a solution to pest problems that had plagued agriculture from its beginning. Not only did problems with human health effects emerge, but ecological damage was extensive. Integrated pest management is an approach aimed at putting pest control on a sound ecological basis. It integrates chemical control in a way that is least disruptive to biological control. It aims not to eliminate a pest, but to control the pest to a level that avoids economic damage. NRC 1989. Research, extension and technology issue. Challenges facing agricultural research systems of developing countries are many, most significant of which are reversing the downward trend in research funding by harnessing and channeling additional resources to research programs along with their cost-effective management. Improving the relevance and appropriateness of new technologies to the vast majority of farmers, including poor and women farmers. The yield growth for many crops has declined in the 1990s. Technology plays an important role in improving the yields. The National Commission on Farmers indicates that there is a large knowledge gap between the yields in research stations and actual yields in farmers' fields. The yield gaps given by the Planning Commission, Government of India 2007, range from 5% to 300% depending on the crop and state. National Food Security Mission (NFSM) has been launched in 2007 to increase 20 million tons of food grains, 10 metric ton for rice, 8 metric ton for wheat and 2 metric ton for pulses during the 11th plan period. There is a need to strengthen this mission to increase productivity. The issue of technology fatigue in agriculture is well known. There is a need to shift away from individual crop-oriented research focused essentially on irrigated areas towards research on crops and cropping systems in the dry lands, hills, tribals, and other marginal areas. Swaminathan 2007. In view of high variability in agroclimatic conditions in such unfavorable areas, research has to become increasingly location-specific with greater participation or interaction with farmers. Private sector participation in agricultural research, extension and marketing is becoming increasingly important, especially with the advent of biotechnology. However, it tends to be limited to profitable crops and enterprises undertaken by resource-rich farmers in well-endowed regions. Therefore, the public sector research has to increasingly address the problems facing the resource-poor farmers in the less endowed regions. There has been a revolution in cotton production due to success of BT cotton in this decade. There is enormous need and scope for national agricultural policy to support synergies between initiatives in research and extension as well as in agricultural education. Patenting in agriculture segment. Patenting of innovations in the agriculture segment has been practiced all through the history of the patent system. In India, the Indian Patents Act 1970 did not provide for protection of agricultural products. However, processes used could be patented even if for a very short period, of a maximum of 7 years from the date of filing of the patent application or 5 years from the date of sealing, whichever was shorter. Patents are now being filed for agro products, food processing, agrochemicals including fertilizers and biocides. Such efforts will continue and could have an impact on research in agriculture and food technology areas. As a legally and ethically sensitive subject, this issue is highly controversial. The implications and opinions related thereto differ substantially between countries with different levels of development and industrialization. This gives rise to contrasting interests being raised within the implementation and negotiation processes. The main principle behind the patent system is the substantial encouragement through IP protection for industry to invest in research and development. This would eventually reduce developing countries' dependence on foreign technology suppliers. Additionally, the patent regime implies discrimination against farmers compared to commercial breeders by omitting means of recognition and compensation for efforts and contributions by farmers and indigenous communities. Patent examiners are having difficulties adjusting to the new biotechnologies. No aid is given by the TRIPS agreement as it contains no definition of invention and therefore leaves contracting parties relatively free to draw the line between non-patentable discoveries and actual inventions in the biological field. In the agricultural sector, traditionally, a new plant variety has been generated by classical breeding techniques by crossing interrelated varieties or races. Whether such transgenic plants should be termed as new varieties is a topic of much debate. Where the main interests of agricultural industries is based on research and development of market-relevant plant traits, it is merely these results which should be object of IP protection. A selective patenting limited to a specific genetic manipulation process or trait resulting therefrom should provide sufficient protection, omitting inequitable implications. Members should therefore negotiate towards a definition of plant variety which enhances a compromise solution between industrial biotechnology and traditional farmers' interests. Few other issues. Diversification to high-value agriculture and marketing. There has been diversification of Indian diets away from food grains to high-value products like milk and meat products and vegetables and fruits. Since risk is high for diversification, necessary support in infrastructure and marketing are needed. Price policy should also encourage diversification. The government wants to have second green revolution by diversifying agriculture in crop sector and allied activities. The true benefit of diversification will come if more emphasis is given to allied activities like animal husbandry and fisheries. The livestock sector contributes 5.4% to GDP and 22.7% to total output from agriculture sector. Contract farming in India is neither backed up by law nor by an efficient legal system. This has to be strengthened as legal system is the single most constraint to widespread use of contract farming in India. Most important problem for the farmers is output price fluctuations. There is a big gap between producer prices and consumer prices. There are different models for marketing collectively by the small and marginal farmers. The real challenge lies in organizing the small and marginal farmers for marketing and linking them to high-value agriculture. Thus, group approach is needed for getting benefits from marketing. Equity in agriculture. Regional disparities. Growth rates in agriculture (SDP) were high for many states during the period 1984-85 to 1995-96. However, growth decelerated in all the states except Bihar during the period 1995-96 to 2004-2005. Government of India 2007. The deceleration is the highest in the states with greater proportion of rain-fed areas: Gujarat, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Karnataka and Maharashtra. Recent experience, however, shows that Gujarat recorded the highest growth of around 9% during 2000-2001 to 2007-2008, Gulati 2009. During this period, 6 states namely Gujarat, Rajasthan, Himachal Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh, Chhattisgarh and Bihar recorded more than 4% growth per annum. Public investment in infrastructure like irrigation, power, roads, watersheds, check dams, technology like BT cotton and diversification in agriculture played crucial roles in raising agricultural growth in Gujarat. There is a need to shift rice cultivation to eastern region from Punjab and Haryana for growth, equity and environment reasons. In order to encourage the states to invest more towards agriculture and allied sectors and to achieve 4% growth in agriculture, the government launched the Rashtriya Krishi Vikas Yojana (RKVY) in 2007-2008 with an outlay of 25,000 crores for the 11th 5-year plan. This scheme requires the states to prepare district agriculture plans and provide adequate flexibility and autonomy to state governments. The states should make use of this scheme to improve the agriculture sector. Price policy. The major underlying objective of the Indian government's price policy is to protect both producers and consumers. Currently, food security system and price policy basically consists of 3 instruments: procurement prices, minimum support prices, buffer stocks, and public distribution system (PDS). There is a need to provide remunerative prices for farmers in order to maintain food security and increase incomes of farmers. There has been a debate on price versus non-price factors in the literature. In our view, both price and non-price factors are important in raising agricultural production. One criticism of the procurement policy is that it is limited to few crops and few states. As per farmers' perceptions about agricultural prices, the cost of cultivation is increasing due to increase in input prices. Particularly, agricultural wages have increased due to National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme (NREGS) in several states. They want to resort to mechanization due to labor shortages in peak seasons. Farmers respond to prices as shown by increase in yields of wheat in Punjab and other states with significant increase in MSP. Farmers have to undergo distress sales due to lack of procurement in states like Bihar, parts of Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh and Orissa. If rice production is to be shifted to eastern region, rural infrastructure including procurement centers have to be improved. In the context of globalization, tariff policy becomes important for agricultural commodities. In other words, it is important to monitor exports, imports, global supply and demand and fix tariffs accordingly. There is a need to balance between producer prices and consumer prices by careful calibration of minimum support prices and tariff policy, import duties. There is a need for reforms in buffer stock operations and targeted public distribution system (TPDS). Buffer stock operations are becoming expensive. As Food Corporation of India (FCI) gets full reimbursement for its procurement, handling and storage costs, the scope for its efficiency improvement through reduction in operating costs need to be examined. Similarly, there are significant leakages in PDS. There can be better ways of more efficient food management practices in procurement, buffer stock and PDS. Policy reforms are needed here. Private sector can be involved in storage and some other activities with regulations. Protection of traditional knowledge in agriculture. Most of the agricultural practices, particularly in developing countries, stem from indigenous and traditional knowledge systems, seldom documented. They are extremely valuable for the sustenance of those practices and ensuring food security for large populations. The intellectual property (IP) protection systems currently in vogue and stipulated under the TRIPS agreement are unsuitable for protecting such traditional knowledge and practices. Realizing the importance of such knowledge and the need to protect them to afford economic advantage to those in possession of such knowledge assets, several international agencies including World Intellectual Property Organization (WIPO), World Health Organization (WHO), Food and Agricultural Organization (FAO), various national governments, and national and international non-governmental organizations have been working on developing a fair and equitable system to protect traditional knowledge, indigenous medicinal plants, food crops, etc., which will be acceptable to all members of World Trade Organization (WTO) and the global community. A special sui generis form of legislation which will meet the requirements is being proposed by WIPO, World Intellectual Property Organization. Some of the members of World Trade Organization (WTO) and others, but nothing of substance has emerged so far.
The history and characteristics of the agriculture sector, its transition from traditional to commercial agriculture and the problems it faces are many. Apart from what is mentioned here, there are many other issues that have been of concern. Low investment in big and small farms lead to lower production, inefficiency and higher costs, causing food inflation. According to the World Bank, India's large agricultural subsidies are hampering productivity, enhancing investment such as agricultural research and extension, as well as investments in rural infrastructure and the health and education of the rural people. Though trade reforms in the 1990s helped to improve the incentive framework, over-regulation of the agricultural domestic trade increased costs, price risks and uncertainty undermining the sector's competitiveness. Illiteracy, the root cause of farmers' poor socio-economic condition, should be tackled vigorously. Lack of technical knowledge and awareness are responsible for low productivity, adding to the problem of poverty among farmers. Inadequate or inefficient finance and marketing services for farm produce and inconsistent government policy are other causes for slow progress. Agricultural subsidies and taxes often change without notice for short-term political ends. Desertification is a serious global problem affecting 1/6 of the world's population. 1/4 of the total land area in the world and 70% of all the drylands are seriously affected by adverse impact of the desertification. And 47.2% of the Earth's land surface is dryland. Hunger, deprivation and starvation have been recorded throughout the history of mankind. Crop failures, weather fluctuations, non-availability of energy, non-availability of alternate sources of conventional food and the socio-political constraints may be said as the main cause of hunger and undernourishment in the world. The food distribution system in the developing countries needs to be strengthened. Thank you.